I'm going to go ahead and get started here. Welcome to our webinar. Thanks for signing up. My name is Bika de Bruin. I am an implementation consultant here at BoviSync. So I do a lot of one-on-one training with the farm employees on how to enter data using our mobile app. We want to cover a lot of information today. Please feel free to post questions in the chat. We'll try to reach out at the end or follow up after the presentation. I'm going to go ahead and introduce my co-presenter, Scott Muniz.
Hello, everybody. Just wanted to say that as a data consultant for BoviSync, I help both farms and their consultants create BoviSync reports for herd analysis. I work with the farm owners, the key managers, and their consultants in BoviSync report training and analytics. As always, I'm continuing to learn about the program and learn what is important to farm owners regarding their herd of cows. And during this shutdown or quarantine, you could say, there has been a lot of uptick in training sessions. We've been doing webinars, and also I've been helping with the implementation team on remote setups.
Alrighty, thank you, Scott. With that, I will go ahead and start with our describing our mobile app. So our mobile app is the most common way for data to get entered on the farm. And in the next few slides, I'll kind of demonstrate on how to enter milk culture information. So we're going to be working with the chore side of the app here to look up animal information while we're also entering events. So we'll scroll down to the hospital pen and search up an animal number. So in this case, 5727, and we're going to ignore this wrong pen prompt. We'll go down to the detail view so we can see a little more information about the animal. Then we can go to enter event and enter a chore culture for the left front quarter. Now that note that just popped up, we can disable that for farms that decide they don't wish to enter a note there, or we can leave it enabled so you can put a note in there of like, I don't know, maybe she had some bloody milk or it's really watery, really whatever you want to put in there. So we have that option on there to be able to enter a note if you would like. So as I said, like we can disable this for farms that wish they don't need it. And entering mastitis, as you can see here at the bottom, it's going to be similar, and you can enroll the cows into treatment protocols as well. So sorry, for some reason it didn't want to go to the next slide for me. There we go. In the previous slide, we entered milk culture chores to record that we took the milk samples. In this example, we are going to be entering the milk culture results so that so as we're reading the plates, you can enter the milk culture. So we'll go into the same place, into the chore side of the app, go into the culture results chore list. We'll open up the list descriptions here, and so then you can see the quarters that we decided to culture for these animals. If you click on the animal, she'll go up to the queue, and then if you click on her when she's up in the queue again, then you can enter in the actual culture result. So instead of clicking on every cow, you can do a similar way to either type in her number at the bottom of the screen or scan the cow's EID, and that will also cause her to go up into the queue. To apply the enrollments for the treatments, we'll have to sync the phone to allow the linked treatment protocols to run. So in this next slide here, we'll be completing the treatments in the hospital. So once the phone has been synced, we're able to take the phone out into the pen and administer the treatments. So in the hospital pen chore list, so let's get this video started here. So we'll go down to the hospital pen chore list and enable the list descriptions. So in this case, the hospital pen is pen 6. We'll enable the list descriptions, and you can see that the cows on here, they have multiple different kinds of chores. So the first cow has a day 4 treatment of SpectraMast because she's been on that protocol for a couple of days. And then our first day cows are also on there because we have synced the phone and let the protocols run with the treatments from the milk culture results. So then when we click on her or scan her or type her number in, she'll go up into the queue, and then when we click on it again, we'll confirm that we gave that treatment. So we've covered entering information and completing chores on the app, but I'm going to take a step back quick and show you how these treatment chores come up onto the phone. So with that, we have multiple different ways of setting up protocols, and the treatment protocols can be changed to meet the farm's needs. The list of protocols can be found here under the setup and into protocols. We will filter the list by typing mastitis into the box underneath the usage. This will shorten the list to only the protocols that we use for mastitis. In this example, I wanted to show the 4-day SpectraMast protocol. And as you can see here, we have some manual enrollments. The manual enrollment we have here is a medical diagnosis of either clinical mastitis or high somatic cell count. So that means that if we give a cow either one of those 2 diagnoses, either on the app or on the computer, this 4-day SpectraMast treatment protocol will be an option for that. You can also see that we have automatic enrollments down here. Automatic enrollments mean that if a cow gets any one of these events, she will automatically be enrolled into this SpectraMast protocol. So in this case, I have an automatic enrollment for a milk culture with organism 1 being either gram-negative, any of the strep species, or E. coli. So in the last example, we entered a couple animals for E. coli milk cultures, so they automatically got enrolled into this protocol when we synced the phone. Moving forward a little more, on the right side of the screen we have the chores set up. So we can see here there's SpectraMast chore on day 1. It is not set up to be an automatic event, so it will trigger a chore once the phone is synced and the cow is enrolled into it. We also have a move on here, a move to pen 6. I have this set up to be an auto event so that when a cow is enrolled into this protocol, she will automatically move to pen 6, which in this case is the hospital pen. She will have SpectraMast chores for the next 3 days, and then on day 5 you can see that there is a vet exam for mastitis check. From this vet exam, you can either enroll her into more days of treatment or call her done, which that will just let her ride out this protocol until her meat and milk withhold are cleared. So now I'm going to show you with this vet exam. I pulled up another protocol I have here. I have plus 2 days of SpectraMast. So from that day 5 check, sometimes people want to add 2 more days. So this vet exam allows them to add 2 more days of SpectraMast or not if they decide the cow needs it or does not. So on the last screen, we had a vet exam with the reason being mastitis check. So we have that here under the manual enrollment. So that would trigger when we complete that chore on the phone. It would allow us to enroll the cow into this 2 more days of SpectraMast treatment with 2 more days of SpectraMast, or click on none and not give her any more medicine. So now we're going to put the data to work, and I'm going to give Scott control here and kind of explain the reporting side of BoviSync using this information that we just entered. So Scott, I'll make you the presenter now.
Okay. Sharing my screen. How does that look? Putting the data to work, reporting?
It looks good.
Okay. Let me hide that. Okay, as Bika explained here, she took some cultures. How do we go about finding them in reports? Click to the next slide here. So, sorry about that. So I'm going to start the video here. We're going to go to the report map and look under milk quality and culture results. This report map is found under the reports section, and there's a bunch of reports that have already been created where all you have to do is run them. We're looking at cultures collected by quarter. So the time frame for this report is for the past year. The way we want to set reports up in BoviSync is we want to say 12 months ago. This gives us a bar graph of each quarter. To create a cow list with these sampled quarters, what I want to do is duplicate this report in another tab and change it from a chart to a table. When I do this, I maintain my filters and can then add different items to look for. Also, I want to delete the aggregation when looking for individual cows. Then I can add a number of items and then work on filling those items in and being more specific. In BoviSync, the items have a name and a short abbreviation. So you can search by both and click on the item that you want. After adding items, you will want to fetch the new report. In this case here, I'm typing culture as the word, and then I'm looking up the different items that are available under culture. Something like this, I want to look up the date when the culture was taken. Culture result 1 was organism 1 and organism 2. I want to look up the quarter. Also, I want to look up any notes that were taken at the time. At this point, I'm going to put in an animal ID link. Also, I'm going to type in event to find the specific event of milk culture, and also want to type in the event number. As you can see, if you spell the item wrong, it won't find it in BoviSync. So here's the items for the last same type of event. Then I want to fetch this report. As it's fetching, you can see in the past year, I guess it's coming up here, in the past year, there were 504 cultures taken, as you can see in the bottom right-hand corner. And as I sort the culture date by clicking on it at the top to descend, so it's current to oldest. The white window below the item can be used to also filter for certain items. Here I jump back to the chart to point out the rear right quarter had 80 cultures taken in the past year. And then I use the white window to show the cows represented with the rear right quarter. There was 80 on the other one. You can also use these windows at the top to see how many no growths there were, or E. coli, or staph, or strep species. At the end of the report, I have the number of times the cow was cultured in the past year. So you can even look for an individual cow with this report and see the time frame, type of growth, and quarter that cow was affected in over the year. The item containing the ear tag number and link allows you to link to that cow card. move to next slide here. There are two places where reports are saved in BoviSync: reports and farm reports. Every BoviSync farm has the same reports under reports, but the farm reports are specific to the actual farm. Also, your user reports will also be found under reports. In this example, I'm looking for a milk quality report called somatic cell count status by test day. This report is for the past year and will show each test day the farm had with a breakdown in percent for chronic, new infection, cures, and uninfected. There was also a count of how many cows were tested on that day. And BoviSync has a feature of high fresh cell count cows and low fresh cell count cows. And it gives you the percent of the fresh cows coming in above and below 200. I show you how to modify the report and change the date range, so we are only looking at the last 6 months. In this example, it is showing 16% chronic, 10% new infections, 5% cured, and 69% unaffected with 100% total. It is also showing 132 cows were tested last time, with 26% of the fresh cows high and 74% of the fresh cows low. We just got done looking at the percentage of somatic cell count status by test day. And this slide will show us the graph of the numbers. The first report is the status by date, and the second report is the status by days in milk. So what I'm doing is looking under reports, fetching it. Here's mastitis status by date. And then also I'm looking for milk quality, somatic cell count status by days in milk. The report runs, takes a little while to run, and then it gives us this graph. The status by days in milk shows us a higher percent of new infections with the fresher cows, meaning more cows are infected early in lactation versus later in lactation. This is where there are a greater percent of uninfected. And just so you know, I'm logged in under multiple farms to kind of keep the farms anonymous, but that's why the graph is kind of choppy. So it's actually looking at the test days for both farms. This next slide again is looking under farm reports. Under reports for a milk quality report at the last test day, comparing the somatic cell count of the last test versus the somatic cell count of the previous test. So once again, these are all found on every BoviSync herd under milk quality. This actually will give us a 2x2 table. And I did a screenshot of this, so it's a different herd. But this screenshot is percents. The percents are different than our last examples. This report is in a 2x2 table and is showing us the 4 quadrants of the DHI mastitis status. It's showing us greater than and less than 200 for the most recent and previous somatic cell counts. In looking at the quadrants, the upper right-hand quadrant is the new infections, and the percent is the rate of new infections. The lower right-hand quadrant is the chronics, and the percent is the chronic rate. The lower left-hand quadrant are the cures, and the percent is the cure rate. And the upper left-hand quadrant is the unaffected. With this next report, what I want to do is use the same concept of quadrants, and I'm going to go use the report wizard to create this. So we'll build a report to show the first somatic cell count test of the lactation compared to the somatic cell count test prior to dry off. I will use the report wizard to make an animal report utilizing a 2x2 table. The two items are the somatic cell count first test this lactation and somatic cell count last test before dry off. And then I put a cutoff in of 200 for each of them. The two filters are somatic cell count last test before dry off. And what I do for this one is put in is not null. And the other one I want to search for a filter is days in milk at last test day. So I type in days in milk, look down for last test day, and I want to put in the range of 1 to 60 days in milk. This will show the first couple months of the lactation. So I fetch this report, and it comes up with our 4 quadrants like the last one. So once again, I did a screenshot. So these percentages are also different than what the report was I ran, because it is a different herd, but still shows us about the quadrants. So the upper right-hand quadrant is the percent of new infections, and the rate is 15%. And the lower left-hand quadrant is the percent cured through the dry period, and this would be the dry period cure rate. This next slide, what I'm going to be doing is opening a bunch of reports and then kind of walking through them. I'm going to use the report map. I'm going to find all the reports already created in BoviSync for milk quality and somatic cell count. There are milk quality reports having to do with graphs, most recent tests, culture results, we were there before, clinical mastitis, and somatic cell count reports. There are also somatic cell count trends broken down by different aggregates. We're going to look at mastitis cases per month, mastitis cases in fresh cows less than 30 days, and mastitis by days in milk. I opened these reports as we were going through each area so we could load while we were opening other reports. I did this by holding down the control key in the bottom left-hand corner of the keyboard and then just clicked on the reports that I wanted. We also will be looking at somatic cell count by test day and percent of herd with subclinical mastitis by test day, and somatic cell count by days in milk, and also percent of herd with subclinical mastitis. So the mastitis cases per month is in a bar graph. For the entire year, the fresh cows, days in milk, less than 30, has the mastitis cases per month for the entire year. And also mastitis cases by days in milk, looking at a cohort of animals grouped every 20 days. So that's given us a bar graph also. There's the 20 days, or days in milk grouped at 20 days. Next, looking at the somatic cell count trend by test day. For the past year, I'm going to be modifying this report, but before I do that, the somatic cell count is kind of choppy. Once again, the reason for doing this is because I'm in multiple herds. When you're looking at this particular graph with one herd, that line is going to be a lot smoother. I'm going to modify this report by putting in a threshold value that, say the farm has a goal of wanting to be at 100 or at or below 100 somatic cell count. This threshold value will change the color where the goal is met. Waiting for that to happen here with the report. And as you can see here, there's green below 100 and the yellow color is above it. I think this herd needs to have a different goal or do a better job with somatic cell count. But the point of this is I just wanted to show you where you could put these thresholds in and you could see, see the visual of that. The next report shows the percent of the herd with somatic cell count greater than 200 by test day. Currently, the trend is showing us about 12.5%. Then somatic cell count by days in milk shows us fresh cows have high somatic cell count up to 30 days in milk, and then gets pretty flat until late lactation where it jumps slightly before dry off. In the percent of herd with somatic cell count greater than 200 by days in milk, cows within the first 30 days have a high somatic cell count, but then this flattens and holds around 10% for most of the lactation until late lactation. So I wanted to go back to the mastitis cases per month and the fresh cow, days in milk less than 30, and change the date display from month, as you can see here, to month year. With the prior date display, we had all of the April cases of 2019 and 2020 showing up in April. With this change, we can now see how April changes. So one thing with date displays, you always want to kind of keep that in the back of your mind, that the months could kind of overlap. If you put the month year in there, then you get a better picture of those cases of mastitis in April. With this last slide, this next slide, we're going to create a report by using the report wizard for a 2x2 table utilizing cutoffs to compare somatic cell count by lactation group. Make a 2x2 table. We're going to put the cutoffs in. I'm showing you here, you can't choose 3 times. You can only choose 2 items to compare with a 2x2 table. Lactation group on the bottom one. I'm putting in cutoffs of 100, 200, 500, and 1,000. And I'm going to put in a date range of today and 30 days ago to capture just the last test day. We see that each, let's make this run, fetch the report. We see that each lactation group has animals in all the cutoffs. If you look at the cows greater than 500, you will see there are 10 and 14. I'm going to take this 2x2 table and turn it into a table or a list to find these 24 cows that are greater than 500 somatic cell. I do this by first right-clicking and then duplicating the report. I want to duplicate this so I don't lose my original report. I make this into a table and then add items that will tell me more about the cows I'm trying to find. I always use ear tag at the beginning of a list report and then an ID link at the end in case I want to link to that cow's cow card. I put an ear tag at the beginning of the report in case I want to sort the list by ID. BoviSync doesn't sort a linked ID, so that is why I put them at both ends. To find these high cell count cows, I'm going to put a filter in greater or equal to 500 and sort by somatic cell count in a descending order. So as you see here, I'm finishing up the items. I want to add a filter, and what I'm going to do is grab somatic cell count, put that in, greater or equal. And then a sort by somatic cell count, descending, then fetch the report. As you can see, the report list yields us the 24 cows, which is the same amount as our 2x2 table. With this list, I can also group other cows. Oops, sorry. Let me go back to that. Technology, you gotta love it. So we're looking for there we got it. We're going to look for new infections up in the window, the white window, and it'll give me new infection cows. And then I'm also going to sort or look for chronic cows. So it'll give me the chronic cows as also. We could also use this list if we wanted to look by lactation, pen, or repro status. I'm going to send this back to Bika. I'm going to make Bika the presenter.
Alrighty, thank you, Scott. So, Scott explained some of the reports to us there, and he was using a lot of the animal and test day reports and some of the event reports as well. So we have multiple ways of accessing all this data. We've got 5 different types of report modules. So we've got the animal, event, test day, parlor, and bulk tank reports, and all of those show different types of information. BoviSync is also very portable. You can export most of our reports directly from the web browser into Excel. We can set up a data client that you could send reports anywhere and when you want them. And we also have our Android app that is on your phone. Coming soon, we also have an API in the works and team access to give producers, so that producers can give access to teams. We are scheduling additional webinars. Drop a topic in the chat if you want to give us an idea of what else you want to hear about for webinars. Like us on Facebook or follow us on other social media pages, or check out our website to stay posted for additional offerings. If you have a farm that you think could benefit from BoviSync, please let us know. We would love to give them a personal demo and explain some more of the benefits of the software to them. I want to say thank you guys again for coming to our webinar. Scott and my email are listed there. I also put on the support email and a link to our knowledge base where you can find a bunch of articles explaining how things work and also just walk you through certain steps of the software. We also have free training videos at training.bovisync.com, and our web application can be found at bovisync.farm. So thank you all again for coming, and I hope you all stay well during these challenging times.